YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Shogun 2, Follow the Samurai. And this is going to be another match in round 1 of the Chaos Riders tournament. If you did not catch the first replays that I showed, you may want to go watch it because I talked through the rules. This match is going to be TFC Greyhound versus VM Klayton. I've seen Klayton play before in past tournaments on other channels, and I know he's a good player. And we'll see how Greyhound comes in here and stacks up. Ubayu Onsen. So this map, again, some interesting terrain in the center of it and on the flanks that definitely makes for opportunities for some interesting tactical play. The terrain in the center involves some trees and also some line of sight blockage where you can focus heavily on one flank rather than the other, and it kind of creates a blockage in the center of the map. Also, you can sneak some cavalry in those trees sometimes. On the flanks, obviously, you can sometimes get cavalry out and around the line of sight of infantry, and the infantry have to be at the top of the hill to really have a commanding view. Line of sight definitely plays a huge role, and sometimes even small things in the line of sight can make a big obstruction. So over here in kind of the pinkish color is going to be Greyhound. So let's see what he's got, just kind of zooming out quickly. A couple of Yariki, Revolver Cav, and one more Yariki. In the very back, a Saber Cav. Not sure if that was a deployment mistake. Generals Hatamoto. Shogunate Guard Infantry, 2 Red Bears, another Red Bear, White Bear, Infanterie de Marine. So 3 elite infantry being fronted by Bear Infantry. So we've got 3 Yariki over here for Klayton. A Revolver Cav, Saber Cav, and one more Yariki. And his main line is a Royal Marine and several White Bears. And they have a second line of, looks like, 2 Red Bear, a Shogunate Guard Infantry, and a Spear Levy. Oh, so we have a there is a command general, a full level command general for Klayton because he's just called in a naval bombardment right here. This is going to force his opponent to either move or potentially be hit by a devastating naval barrage. So let's see what happens. And it's targeted right near his Shogunate Guard Infantry, so it's right where 2 units are blobbed up. It's actually not a bad targeting. Let's see how this works out. First shot's going to the Royal Marines here, but then they get plastered by that White Bear. So the Royal Marines taking devastating fire right here, but a nice cavalry charge on the flank. Klayton's Yariki are winning that. Here comes the naval barrage. Oh, wow, right in between the 2 units. No real damage. Maybe a few Shogunate Guard Infantry, so the naval barrage not really doing much. The swift cavalry attack here being shut down by Greyhound between his Yariki and this Red Bear Infantry. And the shooting fight in the center, these Royal Marines, 104 kills, but they are getting hammered on by the White Bear and Red Bear combination. Here comes a pretty large Yariki charge. This Spear Levy absorbed the frontal volleys, but there is cavalry protection over here, but the Revolver Cav gets caught in combat. Still does a little bit of firing, but it is caught. It might be able to shoot its way out. The Revolver Cav for Klayton actually coming in and getting some devastating hits here, and it's not being shot by the line infantry, so we'll see. This could still swing either way, but I'm giving the advantage in my mind right now to Greyhound, but we'll see. There's still quite a bit of troops left for Klayton. It depends on what happens over on this flank. This Revolver Cav here, 56 kills and climbing pretty quickly, shooting the Red Bear Infantry and the White and the Yariki point blank. Another naval barrage, but this time from the naval barrage is from Greyhound onto Klayton, and a few of the hits do connect. But in the center, let's see how it's going. See if we can. So we got a Red Bear finishing off a White Bear. There is a Shogunate Guard Infantry, but it's fairly damaged and about to get hit by a Saber Cav. That Saber Cav needs to be shot. Oh, the Saber Cav here could be devastating. There is some volleys off, but it's still probably going to be a little bit devastating because Saber Cav's pretty decent in melee, so we'll see. Over here, though, the flank wrapping up in favor of Greyhound. So a pretty vicious fight, but this flank looks pretty heavily stacked, at least at the moment, for Klayton. But, I mean, this is Shogunate Guard Infantry out here versus just a Red Bear. But little melee rush here. Going to connect, potentially. And let's see how the general is used here. This general does not have a gun. So that's going to be kind of a problematic situation. That general may want to go ahead and get engaged here while that red bear is busy. The shooting fight in the center of the Shogunate Guard Infantry is going to be in good shape. That Shogunate Guard Infantry may survive that melee fight, but now, again, I don't know. This is a close battle. A unit of cavalry's come back here that Greyhound does not see. Wow, this is going to be fairly close. Let's see how the Hatamoto is doing over here for Klayton. Down 6 men with 97 men left in that regiment. This could be a pretty dangerous situation for the Hatamoto, but understandable that he had to engage there. If his general dies, it'll probably kill the morale of his remaining men, though he does have this Shogunate Guard Infantry to kind of bolster morale here, and the morale's starting to falter over here on the Red Bears. If they give way, that's going to be pretty critical. I don't know, that's a routing unit. I thought the general of Klayton was disengaging. This is going to be a very close fight. This Shogunate Guard Infantry's got red morale, though. The Sword Dojo is not controlled by anybody. The Archery Dojo is controlled by Klayton, so he's getting... That's where he probably picked up the shooting fight. When he capped that partway through, probably made a big deal. The General's Hatamoto, though, is in bad shape. But if he can rout that Red Bear Infantry, that's going to be big. This Infantry de Marine with 50 men left, though, could be a problem. It's got 150 range. This general also does not have a gun, though, and with the routing of the Shogunate Guard Infantry, it is going to be a tight finish. Let's see what happens with this Shogunate Guard Infantry up here. It actually won its fight, so that could swing this. You've got 53 Shogunate Guard Infantry, 48 White Bears, and 84 Red Bears, and the Red Bears just got a very nice shot on that Infantry de Marine, but they're about to get flank charged by a General's Hatamoto, but that general could get pasted right here. Could it swing the fight before the army losses thing kicks in? So yeah, that Hatamoto is going to get shredded. Yariki also inbound, but it also could get torn up. But then with 2 elites, one here on the high ground and one still out here, this could still swing in Greyhound's favor because the morale definitely starting to waver here. One good volley from the flank probably will break Klayton at this point. Let's see what happens. The Shogunate Guard Infantry took the volley, but the other unit routed, so this one is going to narrowly go to Greyhound. That was a very tight fight. Very nice fight from both these players. Very nice. Good effort all the way to the end. So I noticed on one of my videos the other day, someone commented that whoever gets the first volley just wins. That was not the case here. The first volley went to Klayton, and Klayton did not win that battle. Very tight battle. Nice job to both players. There was definitely good play on both sides, and at the very end, that was very close to swinging either way. That was a gutsy charge by Greyhound's general, and it ended up paying off. It gave his infantry the time they needed to get the volley, because that Red Bear of Klayton shredded the Infantry de Marine pretty bad with that volley and just about broke it, but it was not quite enough. Klayton actually got more kills there. And he even deployed more men, so it was really just a matter of morale there in the end that got him. If we take a look at the unit statistics, Greyhound's best unit was this Shogunate Guard Infantry, followed fairly close by the Infantry de Marine, but that's a pretty good performance for the Shogunate Guard Infantry. This Red Bear right here also did very well, picking up 2,162 experience. That was a pretty nice performance there. If we take a look at VM Klayton's side, again, a Shogunate Guard Infantry picking up 3,300 experience here, so that maybe killed another elite infantry. I'm not quite sure, but a nice performance to be sure. Let's check out the next replay between these two. So that was game 1. Let's go to the battle replays and pop up game 2. This one on Happo Ridge. We saw this map in the first match between Bruce and Chaos Rider, Chaos Blade, sorry. So let's see how this goes. Happo Ridge again, high ground in the center, a little bit of breakup with a few trees here and there, and then it slants off on the slopes on the flanks. So interesting place to see a little bit of maneuvering on the high ground. Sometimes you can still see a melee rush if it's meat shielded properly. This map does break up longer range units a little nicer. So again, this is Klayton here in the yellowish color, and then the pink over here you've got Greyhound. The shrine is right in the center. This dojo is not available, but you've got a sword dojo down there at the bottom, and then you've got an archery dojo right here. So potential to help reload, and a shrine giving a huge morale boost in the center. Let's kind of try and take a quick look at the armies as they approach. Won't get them all, but I saw a saber cav in the center, 2 Yariki there. It's going to be revolver cav and Yariki on the other flank. I'm seeing several Red Bear infantry backed up by Shogunate Guard infantry, a Royal Marine in the center. That's a lot of elite infantry, but 2 of them are Shogunate Guard. Let's take a look at Klayton's army. See some Red Bears over here on this flank moving to cap this dojo, but I mean, that is a lot of cavalry out there. You're going to have to be careful. 2 Yariki and a revolver cav, Shogunate Guard in the center, White Bear infantry, several White Bears there, U.S. Marine and a Shogunate Guard infantry, so equal number of elite infantry for each player, and roughly equal numbers of cavalry too, so very similar builds from both players. Right here though, this dojo, the archery dojo, starting to go in favor of Klayton, and that's going to be huge if he's allowed to get that. This U.S. Marine very far forward here, ooh, taking a devastating volley from the Red Bear, losing 25 men. Let's just see what happens here. Suppressive fire popped, but man, that Marine is getting waylaid. If it can get some return fire in here, it's going to actually kill a few of the Royal Marines, but I mean, it got hit hard, and it's being double teamed. But now this Yariki potentially going to get a decent charge here into the Shogunate Guard infantry. A very good charge, actually. Perfectly timed. Only a few shots fired. Devastating charge. Let's see if the infantry follow-up is good. U.S. Marine now actually turning that fight around with suppression fire, routing the Black Bear infantry. Still, though, going to be heavy fire coming in from the Royal Marines, but they're now going to get tied down by a Yariki while retreating. Again, very nice. There is a Yariki nearby, but that's going to tie them down long enough, and you see the infantry push coming from Klayton. Very good-looking infantry rush. The archery dojo now in favor of VM Klayton. Shrine in favor of Klayton. So this is looking pretty good for Klayton at the moment, but kiting back right now. Let's see if Greyhound can regroup. A Red Bear infantry charge into the White Bears. Nicely done. They're going to get a decent bonus in melee there, or because of the charge. The kiting here starting to pay off a little bit. Here comes a nice counter charge by Greyhound. Going to hammer this U.S. Marine that already took a beating. And a full-on cavalry charge coming to this flank, and this flank is going to fall to the Yariki. I think that is a Shogunate Guard infantry, so the Yariki may not be able to finish. But there is a revolver cav to help finish it. The revolver cav, though, going to be killing some of their own cavalry. Still more Yariki back here in reserve and a General's Hatamoto. This flank being pushed back. Klayton does have the archery dojo and the shrine, though. Remember, that can definitely still make a big difference. So in the gunfights, even the standard infantry are going to be getting a nice boost to reload. Ooh, this White Bear infantry coming too far forward, just getting shredded. Shogunate Guard infantry and Red Bear. So, naval bombardment from Klayton, not doing much here. Red Bear infantry, though, pushing back a lot of cavalry. Here comes the Yariki, looking to get around the flank. You still got a Shogunate Guard infantry and a Red Bear pushing up the hill. Greyhound kiting back nicely here, though, trying to keep his forces safe, kind of doing a fire and fall back method. If using the terrain properly, this can be very effective if it guards your men. Got some, looks like Black Bears here. Yeah, some Black Bear infantry doing some fighting. A Shogunate Guard infantry into melee here against the Hatamoto. Ooh, look at this naval bombardment. Dangerously close. Yep, killed a couple of the Hatamoto. A lot of cavalry left over here for Klayton. And then we've got a Red Bear charging up the hill at this point too. So I think it's looking a little bit rough for Greyhound here. With the shrine and the archery dojo, I think this is going to be a hard turnaround. I'm not perfect at reading Follow the Samurai battles, though, so I could be wrong. That Shogunate Guard infantry did get into melee, did very well. It's completed that fight. Shogunate Guard infantry left here. A Royal Marine left in the center as well. That's going to be a tough nut to crack. And a nice cavalry charge here from Greyhound. Devastating that unit from behind. It was a unit of White Bears. His cavalry will die in that fight, but it's going to give his infantry a good chance to shoot. Keep shooting into that blob, killing a lot of the Yariki. General's Hatamoto, again, gutsy charge here into the Red Bear to prevent its melee against the... oh, but look at this. Yeah, I think there's a Shogunate Guard infantry going point blank here. Red Bear caught in combat. Generals Hatamoto taking some pretty heavy fire. There's another Red Bear cresting the hill and a revolver cavalry in the background that can come back from routing. This flank over here, though, is going to fall, and Greyhound's troops do get wrapped up. This Shogunate Guard infantry making a nice push up the hill. Very beautiful finish to the battle. That makes it 1-1 between Klayton and Greyhound. Again, very nice fight here. Getting those two dojos, though, the shrine and the archery dojo, I think paid some big dividends there for Klayton. I'm almost certain it did, at least, because that was a fairly close fight. Otherwise, the early engagement definitely going in favor of Greyhound, but then I guess the risk of pushing up and getting the shrine and the archery dojo really paying off in the late game for Klayton. So again, you got to remember some of those tactical things that are present in Shogun 2 that are just not present, unfortunately, in Rome 2 or Attila. Those dojos and that shrine, man, it can make a big difference. It can make a real big difference in the outcome of the battle. So remember that Shogun 2 was a single hit point system, much simpler combat, and just having a few of those bonuses like that can make the difference between win or loss. Shogunate Guard Infantry for VM Klayton here. Nice job there. 3,387 EXP on that. 213 kills. So it did a very good job. Let's take a look down here. This Black Bear Infantry, let's see which unit picked up the most experience for each player. The Revolver Cap was 1617 for, it must have hit a fairly high value target there to have picked up that much experience with only 61 kills. But yeah, in that case, it was I wouldn't say it was a decisive victory for Klayton, but it was a pretty convincing victory for Klayton that time. All right, so it is 1-1. Let's go to game 3. There it is, game 3. Sanriku Ria. This is an interesting map. You have forest on the outskirts, which allow for some sneakery. The ground in the center is fairly level, with a slight kind of downward bowl shape to the map in the center. A little bit of forest in the center as well. Not a lot, but a little bit. So again, tactically speaking, the Shogun 2 maps usually had a feel like this, which were very nice. Yeah, you can see that there is enough here to break up lines of sight all over the place in the center of this map. I do like this map. It's a pretty map too. A little bit of a bamboo forest here in the center that provides a little bit of cover. Let's see, we've got the farmhouse, which will make your troops faster. That can actually be helpful sometimes. Archery dojo, and then a workshop. So workshop is armor and melee defense. So probably going to be a little bit of contest for the archery dojo. Again, let's see if the army builds are similar. I'm expecting fairly similar army builds in most of these. 3 Yari Key and a revolver cab over here for Greyhound, and only 2 Yari Key right now for... No, there is a... oh, wow, there's 2 Saber Cav hidden also. So potentially luring Greyhound into a trap here because of that revolver cav and the Red Bear Infantry. Nice pullback there by Greyhound. Definitely did not want to get involved in that. But at least at this point, there should be a pretty strong contest for the archery dojo. We're gonna have a Shogunate Guard Infantry in range of a Red Bear Infantry if it has line of sight, which it may not because of the weird angles here. Yeah, line of sight is probably not going to be present. But right here, oh yeah, there is some line of sight between the edge of that unit. This one right here with just a touch of line of sight there. So not a lot. Not going to be a real decisive engagement yet. Big cavalry fight potentially brewing over here. Archery dojo hotly contested at this point. Both players have the edge of a unit in it, and neither player is getting a very decisive firing position. Here it looks like a double team. We have a Red Bear moving up. There's a Red Bear here, but it's also back. Oh, United States Marine taking some nasty hits there. Down 25 men. 30 men probably. Wow. Yeah, 32 men lost in the U.S. Marine from that naval bombardment. So nice job on Klayton's part. Red Bear Infantry charging forward, looking like it wants a melee engagement. Nope, it's going to stop short. Oh, reforming right in front of the enemy. No fire yet from the Red Bear on return, which is incredible. It may be because it's trying to fire at this unit. So very favorable engagement for Klayton there. Naval bombardment called in by Greyhound over here in the cavalry area. So at this point, Klayton either has to pull back or continue forward. Yariki engagement going very favorably right into the Shogunate Guard infantry. So pin those guys without them getting a shot. Engagement's looking pretty favorable for Klayton right now. Wrapped up a Yariki. This Red Bear infantry did some nice damage. And this forest is going to cover nicely for all this approaching cavalry. This is a revolver cav and a two saber cavalry. So a lot of infantry devastation possible here. And indeed, this saber cavalry is going to full-on connect with the Shogunate Guard infantry. That's going to be an excellent engagement. There's still a revolver cav alive over here, though, causing a lot of damage for Greyhound. If he keeps falling back, he might be able to pull this cavalry fight back together. The saber cav devastating right there. Saber cavalry also being, I wouldn't call it devastating, but it's certainly effective over here. This flank right now looks to be going in favor of Klayton. And then he's got a Shogunate Guard infantry to help hold. Two Shogunate Guard infantry, so definitely looking favorable for Klayton. However, cavalry breaking through on this flank. A spear levy is trying desperately to tie down the Shogunate Guard infantry. This saber cavalry gets through to the Hatamoto, who dismounts. Interestingly enough, maybe trying to go into like a stand and fight or something. But yeah, saber cavalry having engaged the Hatamoto, but there's a revolver cav here, and if it has ammo, this could be brutal. But it gets engaged by the spear levy. The spear levy actually catches it. We do have a stand and fight here by the Hatamoto of Klayton. The fight in the center actually really wrapping up in favor of VM Klayton. So it looks like this one's actually going to go pretty handily in favor of Klayton. Let's go watch some of this combat close up. So we've got the saber cav here engaging the general's Hatamoto. Saber cavalry, kind of the somewhat modern equivalent of katana cavalry. The Hatamoto up here and stand and fight for VM Klayton, overlooking the battlefield. Check out these sweet line fights. Looks so good. Though the colors are a bit weird on both these players, but hey, that's the thing. You get to choose your own color, right? Kind of makes it exciting. Shogunate Guard infantry, those guys so cool looking. So that is 2-1 right now for Klayton. If he wins the next match, he's going to clinch this. But if he loses, it's going to go to a 5th game. So this ought to be interesting to see which way this falls. Pretty exciting matches so far between these two players. Definitely haven't been disappointed yet. I guess I probably shouldn't look at every single results screen. You're not going to see anything too crazy in here, but sorted by kills against the Saber Cavalry. Very nice performance by the Saber Cavalry there. Obviously a key unit, and just unfortunately for Greyhound, just no unit really sticking out here in terms of what it got done. I mean, this Yariki did some work, but not enough, obviously, to switch the tide of the battle there. So let's go back and go to game 4 between these two. So Kwabi River. I like this map for Fall of the Samurai. This big flat area out here lends some very nice play to the elite long-range units, even artillery, whereas the flanks of this map can be very well utilized by cavalry or melee units. One of the dojos is clear over here across the river, which can be very interesting. It's a risk to go capture it because you commit a unit that far off, but if it's a dojo that's worth it, it can be big. One of the dojos obviously positioned right in here by the woods. I think there's just 2 on this map. I don't think no, there is 3. I forgot. So you got a shrine right here in the center. That's going to be a pretty critical capture. And then a sword dojo out by the river and a workshop up here. Now, workshop, not always the biggest deal. It can certainly help your cavalry if you're using Yariki. Even Saber Cav for that matter. Shrine, definitely a worthwhile capture. And then again, sword dojo, very helpful for if you're going to do a melee rush or again for your cavalry. And there is a Saber Cav and a Yariki. He might dismount here to try and capture, though it is a bit risky because he doesn't know what's in the woods up here. But sometimes you'll see a player bring a cavalry around to the back of this and dismount. Oh, his cavalry's going to have to be careful here. Yep. They are just on the outside of range. Couple of shots popped off, but nothing decisive there. The 2 Red Bear infantry have had their cover blown. And Greyhound has a lot of units over here. So remember, this is a make-or-break game for Greyhound. Look at this Yariki with the potential to outflank this infantry if it's quick. And that could put Klayton in a rough spot. He's going to handily capture the workshop. And it looks like he's probably handily going to capture the shrine. And the troops of Greyhound down here in this lake, not really in the best position. It's going to block their line of sight. This flank out here, though, I like the way it looks for Greyhound. Saber Cav engaging a stationary Yariki. Yeah, that's probably not a good engagement for the Saber Cav. But they get away fairly clean here, and they're trying to give shots to the Red Bear infantry. Which is not a bad tactic, but now here comes the flanking Red Bear infantry, and all of a sudden this is going to turn very dangerous for Klayton. Because he's not going to be able to face in enough directions at once. And he's already not turned in time. So this Red Bear, yeah, guaranteed to get some very nice kills here. Yeah, 20 men down already. And then just overwhelming force right here for Greyhound. So Greyhound, kind of realizing he's going to lose these buildings, quickly shifts all his troops to his right flank. And Klayton's trying to react. He's got a lot of cavalry moving here, but his infantry very out of position over here. So a quick shift by Greyhound, and I think he's put himself in a very favorable position. We'll see. Here comes a beautiful Yariki charge. Little bit of fire coming in, but they should, well, not as good of a charge as I would have thought there, but still going to be somewhat effective. Now here comes Klayton with an answer. Revolver Cav point blank into the red. This is actually a Shogunate Guard infantry getting the crap shot out of it right now. But they ended up in melee with the Revolver Cavalry, and then the Revolver Cavalry of Greyhound comes up and just starts unloading into this mass of cavalry, completely destroying them. And then over here, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, this is a mess for Klayton. His whole left flank is just completely falling apart. If he just falls back to this hill, the high ground in the woods, he can keep his infantry safe for long enough to use all this victorious cavalry. Indecisive naval bombardment that came in there. Klayton still has a couple of units here. He's going to need to use these for maximum annoyance. He's going to want to get away from the range of that Red Bear. Nobody controls the Sword Dojo. Shrine is controlled by Klayton, but at this point, I think Klayton's in pretty rough shape. He does have these units out here, and they can certainly be a hindrance, but this forested hill position, this is going to be hard to break. Very hard to break. What else is up here with them? So an Imperial Guard infantry. Infantry de Marine. Yeah, this is going to be difficult. So Klayton is going to be getting hammered from that forested hill position. The Imperial Guard infantry, and then this Infantry de Marine up here is going to be able to lay down a withering, deadly fire into its enemies. And it's going to get a lot of cover from the forest. There is cavalry inbound into the Imperial Guard infantry. Or Imperial infantry, I should say. No, it's Imperial Guard infantry. Yeah, Klayton's in rough shape here. Just doesn't have enough men left to get this done. His men out here in the river are completely wrapped up at this point. His general just got engaged by a Saber Cavalry, so that is going to be a nasty engagement. So Hatamoto here is going to kick the bucket. It wasn't stand and fight. But yeah, you can just see here the hopeless situation for Klayton's cavalry being shot to pieces from that hill. And again, look at the position these men are fighting from, moving slowly through the water, unable to quickly reposition, tangled up by cavalry, while there's an elite infantry basically up on the hill. It was temporarily distracted by the cavalry charges, but at this point it's going to start unloading again, and Greyhound is going to take a decisive victory away. Nice last use of the naval bombardment, but not quite in the position where he needs it. Probably a little too late. Beautiful, beautiful game. Just the graphics on this game are spectacular. I don't even know if it's so much the graphics as it is just the art style. This game has an absolutely beautiful art style. I'm not going to go to the results screen. Let's just go ahead and go straight to Game 5. So this is tied at 2-2. Whoever wins this game is going to go to the next round. So here you have VM, Klayton, and Greyhound facing off on Tranquil Streams. Tranquil Streams. Sounds so lovely, so peaceful, yet so many pixelated men will die this day. This is an interesting map because there's a crossing point at your deployment zone, and there's also a crossing point in the center. Otherwise, you cannot cross that river. So in traditional Shogun 2 play, it could really help out long-range bow units or fire rockets or something like that. But yeah, you can see here's a crossing point. There's one in the center and then one on the other deployment. Otherwise, this is deep water that cannot be crossed. It's actually very beautiful scenery on this map. Shogun 2, I mean, man, this game looks good. They did such a good job with it. And remember how much older this game is than Total War Attila and Rome 2. And I'm not saying Total War Attila and Rome 2 look bad, but it's just it almost just feels like they put a lot more effort into this one. So, in any case, this game looks very, very good for its age. Very good. A lot of people ask me, too, what would be a good starter Total War since they've never played it before. This game runs pretty good because it's an older game. I used to run this on a Radeon 5770, and it ran pretty well. And I think it was just an i5 and a Radeon 5770. But yeah, let's get a look at this. We've got this White Bear Infantry, so again, looking fairly similar armies. Some cavalry out here on the flank for both players. Definitely see a couple of elite infantry bearing down on just the one elite infantry here for Klayton. So that's a Royal Marine and a Shogunate Guard Infantry. This could turn ugly for Klayton pretty fast, though this U.S. Marine's already got 50 kills and climbing. Again, though, a lot of infantry out of position for Klayton. This one way out of position because basically Greyhound bet the farm here and deployed everything on one side of the river for the most part. And we're going to see whether or not it pays off for him. The problem is his guys are kind of bunched up, and he's going to pay for that a little bit here as this Yariki comes in here. It's going to tie down a huge number of units all at once. And this is going to allow this Royal Marine, which was otherwise dying, to start racking up a lot of kills. Very nice naval bombardment here from Klayton. That's going to devastate what's left of that Red Bear Infantry. And actually damage some more Red Bear Infantry here. So that was pretty good. Naval bombardment here, though, hitting a Shogunate Guard Infantry with some pretty decent results. So, yeah, I mean, the infantry from Klayton is slowly pouring across this choke point. And right now, there's a lot of devastation going on amongst the forces of Greyhound. Very piled up in one spot. There's nice... this guard right here from the Revolver Cavalry, that's going to decimate that Yariki. But then this Revolver Cavalry is going to decimate what's left of these Royal Marines until they're able to fire again. But I kind of like the position here a little bit better by Klayton. Oh, that Revolver Cav just got smoked. So that definitely went in favor of Klayton. Let's see. Yeah, out here, Klayton's got a cavalry around the edge as well. So I would say that Klayton's got a pretty decisive advantage right now. Even though he had the numbers, you saw how his men, and it's not like it's his fault, he just didn't have as much room. His men are bunched up here. I like the idea of deploying all on one flank, but it's almost like he needed a melee component in this army to be able to do this. Wow, look at the carnage right here with the naval bombardments. Wow, that looks good. This looks so good. Look at that killing field. Beautiful battle. Well played by Klayton to bring this one back, too. Could have potentially been outnumbered here, though, but I really like that gutsy cav charge. He put it right in there because it tied down probably 4 or 5 units. And then the timely naval bombardment, the good use of his revolver cav there, leaving them kind of behind the lines, left them in an advantageous position. They got a ton of kills because of it. I think you're going to see these guys pretty high on the scoreboard. They did a great job there. So this series is going to go to Klayton, but again, very well fought by Greyhound. Man, I enjoyed this series a lot. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. I know it was a bit of a longer episode for online battles because it was 5-0-1. But hey, 5 battles in 30-some-odd minutes, that's not so bad. Especially considering I've looked at results screen and loading screens. So definitely impressive round. And I saw that you all actually really seemed to enjoy the first video of this tournament that I put up. I like that cacophony where it's playing 2 different musics at one time. Yeah, that was a decisive victory, definitely, for Klayton there. The rest of the battles weren't that pull away, but that one was definitely a pull away for Klayton. Like I said, it was kind of an all-in scenario. Greyhound went all in by deploying everybody on that one side of the river, and I think that maybe had he had a melee element there, might have been able to pull it off before all the shooter infantry. And again, though, I don't know this game real well, so I could be completely wrong. I'm just throwing in a thought here. If I'm wrong, feel free to contradict me in the comments, because obviously I'm not a competitive player on Follow the Samurai. I'm barely capable, but it's possible that he could have gotten some melee rushes off in that forest, but maybe not. Klayton's men were spread a little thinner, but that just meant that each of them kind of had their own field of fire, whereas some of the guys for Greyhound were right on top of each other. But let's take a look here. I'm surprised that Revolver Cavalry didn't get more EXP there, but still picked up 103 kills. 285 kills for the Royal Marine that was in the center. These guys beasted it out. So nice job there. And again, none of the units just really being able to perform where he needed them to for Greyhound. Great match between great players. Stay tuned, and I will be bringing you more of this tournament for sure.